protesters taking to the streets of Detroit, speaking out against the city's water shutoffs, and among them, actor Mark Ruffalo, Congressman John Conyers, and National Nurses United. They say the shutoffs are a safety hazard. The water department has now shut off water to thousands of residents for unpaid bills of more than $150 and 6 months past due. The city says it's offering payment plans to help, but one woman told Fox 2 she was told she doesn't qualify.
Don't put on the news that we are helping the people in Detroit. You're not helping us. You're putting up walls where people can't meet.
And the federal bankruptcy judge, Stephen Rhodes, has even told the city to come up with a better plan to solve this problem.
Some 93 shutoffs for non-payment were scheduled for today, but a couple dozen protesters stood in the way, literally. This is Homrich wrecking on East Grand Boulevard, where the trucks normally leave to shut off the water. Protesters blocked the entrance for hours, leaving workers to sit by and watch. But then Detroit police arrived and told the group that if they didn't move, they'd be arrested.
I have a prisoner bus coming. If you guys so choose to go to jail, I would ask that we do this systematically. I don't want anybody to get hurt.
At least 8 people were arrested. A spokesperson for the city says no one in need is being turned away. On Monday, the city plans to present an improved customer outreach plan to Judge Stephen Rhodes.
And many of the people who demonstrated out there today at Hart Plaza did so with very heavy hearts, remembering one of their organizers who recently passed away.
Yeah, Charity Hicks helped start the protest movement against water shutoffs. Fox's Ron Savage joins us live now with more on that. Ron?
Sherry, Murray, you know, those demonstrating today at Hart Plaza say there's no doubt in their mind Charity Hicks would have been standing shoulder to shoulder with them, but tragically, she never recovered from that hit-and-run accident that left her fighting for her life. Demonstrators at the People's Water Board rally at Hart Plaza say they're saddened to learn of the loss of their founder. News circulated the rally that Charity Hicks, who had been in a coma since May, has died. Hicks, a native Detroiter, was hit by a falling bus stop sign here in New York City at West 34th Street and 10th Avenue. In May, an SUV hit a fire hydrant and careened into the bus stop pole that collapsed onto Hicks. She was rushed to the hospital and never regained consciousness. New York police say the driver, a white male in his 30s or 40s, got out of the SUV and ran and was not located.
We dedicated the action today to her memory and honor, along with General Baker and another fallen warrior of the last several months.
Hart Plaza protesters react to the news of Hicks' death.
Charity was a real active voice. She called for us to wage love, to love our neighbors, to love even our situations that bring us together, sometimes in our cases of most need.
Charity Hicks, a founding member of the People's Water Board, was known as an activist, advocate, movement weaver, a writer, grower, researcher, healer, artist, and organizer. She was a founding member of the nonprofit East Michigan Environmental Action Council and the Black Community Food Security Network. She was a believer in global warming and was active in the African Women's Society. She was arrested during a demonstration on the street in May by Detroit police as she protested against water shutoffs. A national public speaking figure, Charity Hicks was known to appear at a variety of protests around the country.
Somehow or another, and I love all the nonprofits in the room, but we use them as in place of community when we really need more citizens engaged at the table.
Charity Hicks Memorial is set for tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. at Church of the Messiah, 231 East Grand Boulevard, Detroit. An online GoFund account has raised more than $10,000 to pay for her funeral. Charity Hicks is survived by her husband, Louis.
Detroit more than 2 decades ago. Today, Nelson Mandela Drive is unveiled in downtown Detroit. Nelson Mandela was South Africa's first black president. He spent 27 years in prison for standing up for racial equality and human rights for everyone. Mandela was in Detroit in 1990, just a few months after he was released from prison. The civil rights leader died in December, but what he stood for lives on.
Tonight, the water shutoffs are on hold in the city of Detroit. The city's water department suspending the shutoffs for 15 days, effective immediately. The goal is to give customers who are behind in their bills a chance to enroll in a payment program before they lose their water service. It comes just hours after some residents filed a class action lawsuit against the city, claiming the shutoffs are racially motivated and violate their constitutional rights.
You have to keep in mind, you have customers with affordability issues, but if we don't get, our collections under control, you're going to push many more customers to having that affordability issue.
The water department was making important decisions. There are a lot of overdue bills. Most of them got paid fairly quickly, but at the same time, we want to make sure there's good information to people that may have a need-based concern.
The shutoffs may be working, though. The department has recovered nearly $2 million since the shutoff started in March, but delinquent customers still owe nearly $90 million in unpaid bills.
Demonstrators arrested during last week's protests over Detroit water shutoff showed up in court today expecting to face charges. Instead, their bonds were refunded and they were sent on their way. Protesters were arrested for blocking the entrance to the company responsible for shutting off water. One of those arrested says living in the city is just too expensive.
The water rates have been raised to the point in the city of Detroit where normal people like myself cannot actually afford to pay a water bill. You have to decide if you're going to pay a water bill, a light bill, a gas bill, or a tax bill.
National Lawyers Guild is representing the protesters. They say the city is violating basic human rights by shutting off water. Anonymous donors have agreed to pay the delinquent water bills.